We all know the famous story of Isaac Newton and the fallen apple. That time he came up with some pretty radical idea, the law of gravity. We all pretty much used to the whole idea of gravity since high school. We think that objects fall because the gravity force sort of makes them do that. And even when we raise our hands, it takes some effort, all because of gravity. Scientists explain gravity in a way that massive objects attract smaller ones. This is just how it's been for many years. Much like our planet is attracted by the huge sun. Sounds logical, but that's just the first impression. After countless discussions, scientists came up with the theory that gravity is kind of ambiguous physical phenomenon. Anyway, in today's episode we'll give you some facts about gravity that will boggle your mind and probably even change your perspective on the subject. I wonder if any of you guys are already thinking like, if there's no gravity, then how come you're not flying? Well, hold your horses and watch this video till the end. Let's roll. Gravity as a theory. First of all, I think it's important to mention that gravity has absolutely nothing to do with scientific laws. Just Google the word gravity and you'll see countless articles on the subject. If you think about it, in science, laws and theory are two radically different things. Laws are based on concrete data, while theory is an abstract idea that explains certain phenomena. So the thing is, that distinction kind of tells you why you can't really see gravity as the law. It's simply impossible to measure the impact of gravity, if you catch my drift. Gravity as we know it doesn't exist. As long as we know gravity, its nature raises a lot of discussions and it's quite a big question in the scientific world. According to the majority of people, Nikolai Levashov is the only one out there who actually managed to explain the real physical impact of the gravity. According to Nikolai, gravity doesn't exist in the way we understand it today. It has an entirely different nature, and it's far from that one that we think it is. In reality, there isn't such thing as proportional attraction of bodies. Things appear to be quite different. So it's logical to assume that there is no concrete mathematical description of this, how shall we say, imaginary process. Remember how teachers used to tell you that if you drop a stone, it will fall on the ground because of the thing called gravity force? Well, it implies that the Earth attracts all of us, and all that we let go of our hands. And when asked why does it do that, they would say that it's a law of attraction. It says that bodies are attracted to each other by certain force. But in reality, everything has a cause, and all things happen for a reason. Similarly, there is a cause for that attraction, and every process is interdependent. So in some sense, gravity does exist. And that's actually why we're attracted to Earth and can't fly like the birds. But this process has a different kind of nature to it, and the so-called universal attraction isn't exactly the source of gravity at all. Let's have a look at some arguments that prove this version. Most bodies in our solar system don't have gravity. In our solar system, only planets have gravity, and the moon, of course. Other satellites, there are over 60 by the way, don't have gravity. This information is available for everybody, but it's not widely spread by the scientists because science can't explain that fact. That actually means that the majority of objects in our solar system doesn't have gravity, and this totally proves the law of universal gravitation wrong. Asteroid space probe launch. In mid-February in the year 2000, Americans launched Near Space Probe and sent it close to the Eros asteroid. So they did that, and then they just started to wait until it would get attracted to the asteroid, but nothing happened that first time. All the other attempts had pretty much the same effect. The asteroid didn't seem to attract the probe for some reason. The probe just couldn't hang in there. Nobody expected that. That is because the asteroid weighed 6 trillion tons and the probe weighed only 805 kilos. According to the law, it was supposed to stick to it. So there's no explanation for that, and it's kind of a big deal. Japanese experiment. Next experiment was conducted by the Japanese. They picked an asteroid called Itokawa. and sent a Hayabusa probe to check on it. By the way, Hayabusa means falcon, in case you're wondering. In September 2005, the probe came to an asteroid at a distance of 20 kilometers. Japanese learned from the previous experience and modified the probe. They put some autonomous short-range navigation systems with laser rangefinders on it, so that it could move along the asteroid automatically, without additional help of the ground operators, of course. So the initial plan was to put a little research robot on the surface. The probe came as close as it possibly could. It was supposed to drop the robot, but what happened was that the little thing flew off in a separate direction, and no one ever saw it since. Now, isn't that a bummer? The next step was soil sampling. To allow a better accuracy of the apparatus, a special reflective ball was put on the surface. But something went wrong, and the ball didn't go where it was supposed to go. So nobody knows what happened in the end. The destiny of the Falcon remains unknown till this day. One thing is certain though, the Japanese experiment didn't prove anything. There was no attraction between the 510 kilo probe and a 35,000 kilogram asteroid. What are tides? This very interesting phenomenon described in the literature is not entirely correct. Some physics books say that tides should be in accordance with the law of gravity. And there are oceanography books that says what the tides really are. If the law of gravity is applicable here, and the ocean water is attracted, including the sun and the moon, then the physical and oceanographic pictures of the tides must coincide. So do they coincide or not? It turns out that they don't. What's more is that they generally have nothing in common at all. The actual picture of tidal phenomena is very different from the theoretical one, both qualitatively and quantitatively. On the theoretical basis, it is impossible to measure tides, but no one actually is trying to do that. What they do is this: for each port or other point of interest, the dynamics of the ocean level are modeled by the sum of the oscillations with amplitudes and phases, which are found purely empirically. After that, the sum of fluctuations is extrapolated forward, and this is where you get the calculations. All of this means that tides do not obey the so-called law of universal gravitation, which casts great doubt on the idea that the moon has any effect on the Earth's waters. Moon's trajectory. The moon moves around the Earth in a weird kind of way. It's the closest object to Earth, and we've been watching the moon for quite some time now. It almost feels like people should know everything there is to know about the moon. But hey, moon's trajectory is always changing. It's just never the same. The semi-major axis of its orbit changes with a period of 7 synodic months by 5,500 kilometers. So the thing is, the scope of the circulation period should change according to Kepler's third law, and it should be 14 hours. According to scientists, that's a given. In fact, the change in the duration of the synodic month is only 5 hours. And the frequency of this change is nothing like 7 synodic months, it's actually 14. That means that in the case of the orbit of the moon, the semi-major axis and the revolving period don't evolve relatively in a consistent way, as in the amplitudes, and in periodicity, which actually contradicts the law of universal gravitation. In actuality, the movement of the moon around the Earth doesn't happen as it should have according to the law of universal gravitation. So from these speculation, it becomes clear that it's likely that the law of universal gravitation is a false theory, which directs the vector of human knowledge far away from reality. So the question is, what is gravity? The cosmos is saturated with a huge number of constantly moving matters that scientists have defined as dark matter, which got its name from the fact that it's impossible to see it with bare eye. So the matter itself defines the presence of gravity. In other words, gravity is the process of the influx of primary matter, and it flows on everything that occurs along the path. If a planet meets the path of flows, then the flows of matter press everything that's there to the surface of the planet. This could actually be a sign that soon the scientific world will come to rethink many processes that take place in the universe. Press the like button if you like the video, guys, and don't forget to subscribe to Fact or Fiction for more interesting stuff. Also, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.